හරිම සුමුදුයි.
Tonight on First at 9 this Friday the 22nd of December 2023. COVID-19 JN.1 variant spreads rapidly across the world. Health experts believe that the variant is already within Sri Lankan borders. Public requested to adhere to safety protocols. Tactical response. Measures underway to bring back the detained Sri Lankans in Myanmar. Sri Lankan ambassador requests the public to remain patient. Impressive targets. Sri Lanka aims to attract $3 billion in FDIs next year, reveals the Investment Promotion State Minister. Says 2023 targets have already been surpassed. Addressing concerns. Power experts call on the government to address flaws in the new draft electricity bill.
ඔබේ විශ්වාසය දෙනු සෙන්සුරයින් දැන් ළඟම ඇති ෆාමසියෙන් ලබාගත හැක.
නියම මෝල්ට් සාරය සමග මැලිබන් මෝල්ට් දැන් රුපියල් 750ක් පමණයි.
This is AdaDerana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to AdaDerana First at 9. I'm AdaDerana Singh joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and around the world. Now in your top story tonight, we take you to some eerily familiar news. The spread of a new COVID-19 variant JN.1 has sparked concerns across the world due to its rapid spread. The variant, which is classified as a variant of interest by the World Health Organization, has been detected from several countries, including neighboring India, the UK and the United States and China. Even though the WHO states that the risk to the public is currently low and current vaccines continue to offer protection, it warns that COVID and other infections could rise this winter season. Taking this situation into account, the local health experts requested the public to continue to adhere to safety and health protocols without panicking unnecessarily.
In May this year, the World Health Organization declared an end to the global health emergency for COVID-19. The Global Health Emergency Declaration was made by the foremost international health authority close to 3.5 years ago in January 2020 as the virus pushed health infrastructures across the world to the brink of collapse. The decision to end the health emergency was made by the WHO, taking the reduced number of COVID cases across the world into account. However, a few months later, global attention has now been directed to a new COVID variant, which is said to be spreading rapidly across the world. This variant, named JN.1, which was first detected in Luxembourg, is believed to have evolved from the Pirola variant, which stems from the Omicron subvariant. Recently, India's National Centre for Disease Control confirmed the presence of the JN.1 subvariant of the COVID-19 virus in a patient from Kerala detected during a routine surveillance. India has so far confirmed 21 cases of the JN.1 COVID variant, sparking concern across the nation and urging authorities to be on full alert. Further, the JN.1 variant has been found in many countries around the world, including in China, the UK and the United States. According to the US Center for Disease Control and Prevention, it is currently the fastest growing variant in the United States, accounting for 15% to 29% of the total infections. The UK's Health Security Agency meanwhile said JN.1 currently makes up around 7% of the positive COVID tests analyzed in a lab. Further, the JN.1 variant has been classified as a variant of interest by the World Health Organization due to its rapid spread. Even though the WHO is of the view that the risk of the public is currently low and current vaccines continue to offer protection, the WHO warns that COVID and other infections could rise this winter. Patients infected by the new COVID variant show symptoms of fever, cough, runny nose, sore throat, body ache and fatigue. In a message meanwhile, Director of the Allergy, Immunology and Cell Biology Unit at the University of Sri Jayawardhanapura, Professor Chandima Jeevandara stated that the JN.1 variant could already be within the Sri Lankan community. Pointing out the potential risk to the country, Sri Lankan health experts and professionals requested the public to adhere to health and safety protocols to avoid the contraction of any respiratory illness.
අපේ රටේ තාම කොවිඩ් දුනත් අපේ ආවේක්ෂණ ක්‍රියාවලිය ඉතාමත් ශක්තිමත්ව ඒ ආකාරයෙන්ම පවත්වාගෙන යනවා. අපිට කියන්න තියෙන්නේ අපි මේ ගැන ඉතාමත් අවධානයෙන් ඉන්න සෞඛ්‍ය අමාත්‍යාංශයක් විදිහට ආවේක්ෂණ කටයුතු ඒ විදිහටම සිද්ධ වෙනවා. කාලීනව අපිට වාර්තා වෙන රෝගීන්ගේ ඒ ජානමය විශ්ලේෂණයන් කරලා මොනවාද අපේ රටේ පැතිරෙන ජාන වර්ග මොනවාද කියන එක අධ්‍යයනය අපි සිද්ධ කරනවා. ඒක නිසා මේ අපේ ජනතාවට මේ තත්ත්වය පිළිබඳ අන්‍යත බියක් ඇති කරගත යුතු නැහැ. හැබැයි ඕනෑම සුවසන පද්ධතිය ආබාධයක් තිබුණොත් අර අපි හැමදාම කියන හොඳ සෞඛ්‍ය පිළිවෙත් අනුගමනය කරන එක අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම කළ යුතු වෙනවා.
ඕනෑම මේ බෝවෙන් රෝගයක් යම් කිසි ප්‍රදේශයක පැතිරලා ලෝකෙ පුරාම පැතිර යාමේ හැකියාවක් තියෙන එවැනි තත්ත්වයක් ඇති වුණොත් ඉතින් ශ්‍රී ලංකාව තුළට පැමිණීමත් ඒ සියල්ලක් වළක්වා ගන්න අමාරුයි. නමුත් මේ සෞඛ්‍ය පුරුදු අනුගමනය කරොත් කුමන ප්‍රභේදය ආවත් අපිට ඒන් බේරලා ඉන්න පුළුවන්.
Meanwhile, information on more Sri Lankans who are currently held in terrorist captivity abroad were reported to AdaDerana. On the matter, the Sri Lankans detained in Burmese terrorist camps, Sri Lankan ambassador in Myanmar Janaka Bandara requested the relatives of the detainees to be patient as any sudden actions could cause adverse repercussions threatening the safety of the Sri Lankans so detained. The ambassador highlighted that a tactical response is currently necessary to address the issue.
Recently, it was reported that 25 Sri Lankans who entered Thailand via tourist visas were captured by a Burmese terrorist group while attempting to enter Myanmar through the border it shares with Thailand. It is reported that the captured Sri Lankans are currently being detained in a terrorist camp in the Mayawadi town in Myanmar and are reported to be working as cyber slaves.
ඔබ දැන් මෙහෙට ඇවිල්ලා මාස දෙකමාරක් විතර වෙනවා. මෙහි වැඩගෙන කිව්වොත් ඇත්තටම මිනිස්සු මරවල වැඩ ගන්න. සාමාන්‍යයෙන් අපිට කරන්න බැරි වැඩ අපි කරන්න කැමති නැති වැඩ තමයි මෙතනින් කරන්නේ. සාමාන්‍යයෙන් මිනිස්සු රවට්ටලා මිනිස්සුන්ගේ සල්ලි ඒවා කරන්න අපිට තියෙන්නේ. අපි ඒවා කරන්න බෑ කිව්වොත් මේ අපිට කරන්ට් එක අල්ලනවා, ජේල් කියලා එකක් තියෙනවා, ඒක වදකාගාරයකට දානවා, එල්ලලා ගහනවා. කවුරුත් මෙතනට ආපු එක්කෙනෙක් දැනගෙන ආවේ නැහැ. ඔක්කොම බොරු කියලා අපිට මේ වගේ ජොබ් එකක් දෙනවා උලන්නේ නැහැ. ඔක්කොම හොඳයි එහෙම කරන්න දෙනවා කියලා අපි ඔක්කොම ඉන්න ලංකාවේ ඉන්න ඔක්කොම කට්ටිය රවට්ටලා මෙතෙන්ට ගෙනාවේ. අපෙන් ලොකු ගාණක් ගත්තා එන්න මෙහෙට. ඇත්තට මෙහි ඉන්න එක ජීවත් වෙනවා කියන්නේ මාර අමාරුයි. මන්නම් කියන්නේ ලංකාවේ ඉන්න ඔක්කොම කට්ටිය එක්මන්ට ගන්නයි කියලා.
Further, it was also revealed that more Sri Lankans were deceived by human traffickers, promising them job opportunities in countries nearby Myanmar, such as Thailand. A Sri Lankan who was detained as such at a terrorist camp in Laos explained the bitter experience he had to undergo at the terrorist camp.
අපිට තායිලන්තේ IT ශේත්‍රයේ ජොබ් දෙනවා කියලා මෙහෙන් අපිව කම්බලන්තරෙක් කෙනෙක්ම අපිව තායිලන්තයට යවන්න ඔක්කොම වැඩ කරා. අපිට කිව්වේ ඔයාලා විසිට් වීසා එකට යන්නේ ඔයාලට සති දෙකක් යන්න කලින් ජොබ් වීසා එක ගහනවා. අපිට යන්න කියලා අපි ලක්ෂ 355ක් මුදලක් අපෙන් ගත්තා. තායිලන්තේ ඉඳලා අපි ඒ ඩොමස්ටික් ෆ්ලයිට් එකක අපිව නැවතත් චීන් රායි කියන ප්‍රදේශයකට ගිහිල්ලා අපි එතනින් ලාෝසයට බෝඩර් කරා යවුවා. අපි ඊට පස්සේ යාළුවා කම්පැනි එකක් ගියා. ඒක තමයි සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම බලකොටුවක් වගේ තමයි ඒක තිබුණේ. ඒ අතර වාරේ කම්පැනි එකෙන් අපි අයින් වෙනවා නම් අපි එක්කෙනෙක් ලක්ෂ 50ක් කම්පැනියට ගෙවලා තමයි අපි අයින් වෙන්න ඕනේ කියලා. යාළුවා කියන්නේ සම්පූර්ණම අපිට බොරු සෝෂල් මීඩියා accountස් හදලා ඇමරිකාව වගේ යුරෝප් රටවල් ටාගට් කරලා ඒ රටවල ඉන්න ධනවත් මිනිස්සුන්ව අල්ලගන්න කියලා. එයාලත් එක ගොඩක් සමීප වෙලා මෙහෙම ඉන්වෙස්ට්මන්ට් ප්ලෑන් එකක් තියෙනවා. මේ ඉන්වෙස්ට්මන්ට් ප්ලෑන් එකට ඔයා සල්ලි දාන්න, ඒ සල්ලි දාන්නේ ඔයාලට ප්‍රතිලාභයක් ගන්න පුළුවන් කියලා එහෙම ඉන්වෙස්ට් කරන්න කියලා කියන්නේ. ඊට පස්සේ අපිට ඉන්වෙස්ට් කරගන්න මුදල් අනුව තමයි අපිට එයාලා පඩි තීරණය කරන්නේ. මේ ලංකාවේ අපි ආපු කෙනාට අපි මේක දැනුවත් කරා. එයා කිසිම මේ හරි උත්තරයක් අපිට දුන්නේ නැහැ. පස්සේදී කොහොම හරි අපිට මේගොල්ලෝ අපිට ගොඩක් වද දෙන්න පටන් ගත්තා. මුලින් අපිට ධන ගස්සුවා, ඊට පස්සේ පාඩි කපනවා කිව්වා, ඊට පස්සේ ග්‍රවුන්ඩ් එකක් වටේ දුවවන්න, ඒ වගේ දේවල් තමයි අපිට කරේ.
Taking the situations of the Sri Lankans into account, Sri Lankan ambassador in Myanmar highlighted the importance of acting with patience to safeguard the Sri Lankans.
නීති විරෝධීයන් රඳවාත භාගින් කෙනෙක් තමයි වාර්තා වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. මේ සියලුම දෙනා නීත්‍යානුකූල අන්දමින් රැකියා සඳහා විදේශගත වෙච්චයි. පළවෙනි කාරණේ මේ රාජ්‍ය ඇත්තටම සලකන්නේ නීති විරෝධී සංක්‍රමණිකයින් කියන ගණයට වැටෙන්නේ. මේක ගැටලුව තියෙන්නේ හමුදා රජයක් පවතින රටක් නිසා යම් කිසි සීමාසහිත වපතරියක් තමයි අපිට වැඩ කරන්න වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. ඊටත් වඩා මේ කලාපය ත්‍රස්තවාදී පාලනයේ පවතින කලාපයක්. ඒ නිසා මියන්මාර් රජයටත් ඍජුව එකවර ඔවුන් නිදා ගැනීමේ හැකියාවක් නැහැ. අපි අම්මාකාරයක හමුදා ක්‍රියාන්විතයක් ක්ෂණික වැටලීමක් මෙහෙයීමක් සිදු කරන්නේ ඔවුන් කාණකකරුවන් බවට පත්. ඒ නිසා උපක්‍රමශීලීව නිදා ගැනීම තමයි කටයුතු කරන්නේ.
Now, in the recent past, Sri Lanka faced the repercussions of an acute shortage of foreign reserves, which ultimately led to a full-blown economic crisis. With the intention of avoiding such consequences in the future and in order to strengthen Sri Lanka's forex reserves, the Minister of Investment Promotion intends to attract $3 billion in foreign direct investments in the year ahead. Speaking to AdaDerana English News, the Investment Promotion State Minister Dilu Mamanugama says Sri Lanka has so far attracted $2.3 billion worth of foreign direct investments, which exceeds the estimated target for 2023 by $1.3 billion. For more on this, let's hear from Minister Amanugama himself on our special segment 2024 and Beyond.
2023 was a bit of a chaotic year with economic crisis and with what went on in the country. But I'm happy to say that still we have managed to overshoot our target, which was to sign up for $1 billion. But we have already been able to confirm foreign direct investments of $2.3 billion. So I would say that that was a great achievement by the side of the BOI. And for 2024, of course, the new investment law will be in place. We will be working on a new platform, a new model under three sectors. One sector will be the ready-to-invest projects, because for 2024, we are in the midst of getting prior approval for projects. So in future, investors won't have to come to the BOI and start looking for lands or sites for their project, because we will have pre-approved projects. That's what we are doing right now. So in future, we have spoken to all the ministries, like Ministry of Tourism, Ministry of Plantations, Agriculture, Wildlife, Forest. So we have already obtained locations, and we are in the midst of doing the environment approvals and getting the other approvals for this project in the name of the BOI, which will be ready-to-invest projects. You want to have 1,000 ready-to-invest projects online, where any investor can come, select the project, he can plug and play from the next day, where we can grant his approval within 7 days. And of course, he won't need approval for the project, because obviously the project will be already approved in the name of the BOI by that time. That will extend to mining, leisure and tourism, BPOs, housing, etc. And that will be one category. The second category will be the SOEs, state-owned agencies, roughly about 300 projects, which are already listed under the Ministry of Finance, where we will be looking for public-private partnership to develop those state-owned agencies into profit-making institutions. Most of them are loss-making institutions, or they are half shut down by now. This again, that will be online, which we will be looking forward to connect with preferably foreign or local investors to convert the 300 SOEs into profit-making public-private partnerships. The third category will be, we will open up a new platform for private-owned investments that have stalled due to the economic crisis and various other reasons. There are apartment complexes, there are hotels, etc. projects that are on bank loans, which have been started but had stalled due to the economic crisis and whatever happened in the country in the last few months. And this third category also will be facilitated by the BOI and the Ministry of Investment Promotions, where we will matchmake a foreign or local investor who will be able to restart the stalled private project and convert it into a profit-making investment for the country. Of course, with the new investment law coming in, approvals will be much more faster. And also the IFC, which is the main unit that helped us to overshoot the target in 2023 under all the circumstances that we had to go through. The main unit that did that was the Investor Facilitation Center and the Investor Facilitation Committee. So we are looking forward to strengthen the IFC and also the IFCC, so that fast approvals and fast execution of the projects will be looked at in 2024. And a general target set by the Treasury for foreign direct investment generally is about $1 billion. But in 2024, the ministry has set our own target at $3 billion, which I am sure we should be able to go at and achieve the target within the year of 2024.
Now, meanwhile, Santosh Jha assumed charge as the Indian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka today. The newly appointed Indian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka presented his credentials to the President at a ceremony held at the Presidential Secretariat today. Prior to his new assignment, senior diplomat Jha served as the Indian Ambassador to Belgium, Luxembourg and the European Union. He had earlier served as the Ambassador of India to Uzbekistan from 2019 to 2020 and as the Deputy Chief of Mission at the Indian Embassy in Washington, D.C. from 2017 to 2019. He has held key positions in the Ministry of External Affairs in New Delhi, including as the head of the Division for Human Resource and Management Affairs, Division for Relations with Western Europe and the European Union, and the Policy Planning Division. The new Indian High Commissioner Santosh will replace the previous Indian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka, Gopal Bagle, who served from 2020 to 2023. Meanwhile, senior Indian diplomat Gopal Bagle has been appointed as India's High Commissioner to Australia. Now, in other local news, expressing his views on the controversies surrounding the import and distribution of substandard human immunoglobulin in the country, former Minister of Health Services Kelly Ramukwelle insists that he is not at fault. The minister further claims that he acted diligently during his time in office as the Minister of Health. Speaking further in this regard, the former Health Minister alleges that the respective authorities within the Ministry of Health are responsible for the matter, and added that the subject minister does not involve himself in the procurement process as per procedure.
Several patients receiving treatment in hospitals around the country drew attention to various complications suffered by them after receiving injections of the antibody named human immunoglobulin. As accusations and allegations started accumulating against the Ministry of Health and the National Medicines Regulatory Authority, legal action was also instituted against those responsible. As court proceedings continue on, the owner of the pharmaceutical company, 4 officials including the director of the Medical Supplies Division of the Ministry of Health and the former Health Secretary Janakashri Chandragupta have been placed in remand custody. However, public outrage is currently on the rise, demanding the arrest of former Minister of Health Kelly Ramukwelle. The minister, so accused by many parties, addressed this issue during a government news briefing today.
දක්ෂම කාටුන් ශිල්පියක් හැටියට මම සලකන ඉදිරිපත් කළා තියෙන්නේ කෙහෙලිය රමුක්කලට කයතුරු දාලා කටවල් වහලා සත්‍ය සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම විකෘති කරමින් කරන ප්‍රකාශන වලට උත්තර නොදී සිටියොත් මේ කාටුන් එකත් සාතික වෙනවා. අධිකරණ ක්‍රියාවලිය යන අතරතුරේ ඒ සම්බන්ධව අදහස් ඉදිරිපත් කිරීම නීතියේ රාමුව තුල තමයි මට පිළිතුරු දෙන්න වෙන්නේ. මේ තියෙන්නේ අගෝස්තු මාසේ 2 වෙනිදා. මේ කරපු පැමිණිල්ල. මෙන්න රිසිට් පද. මම තමයි මේක පැමිණිලි කරන්නේ. වර්තමානයේ මේ ප්‍රශ්න මතුවලා තිබෙන නිෂ්පාදකවරයා 2013 සිට මම මේක හොයලා බලපුවාම මේ විදිහේ විවිධ අවස්ථාවලදී බෙහෙත් ලබා දීමට රජයට උත්සාහයක යෙදලා තිබෙනවා. ඔහුගේ කර්මාන්ත ශාලාවක් තිබෙනවායි ප්‍රකාශ. මම ඇමති වුණාට පස්සෙත් ඒ ඔහුගේ ඉල්ලීම් නැවත නැවත අලුත් වෙමින් පැමිණි. නියාමන අධිකාරියට මේ සම්බන්ධව යොමු කිරීම තමයි ඇමතිවරයෙක් හැටියට මට කරන්නට පුළුවන් ක්‍රියාව. එතකොට නියාමන අධිකාරියේ ප්‍රධාන විධායක නිලධාරිතුමා සති කිහිපයකට පසු ඇවිල්ලා අර එවල තිබ්බ ඉල්ලීම සම්බන්ධව ඉතා කනගාටුයි අපේ ප්‍රමිතීන් වලට එය එකඟ නැහැ. ඒ නිසා මම ඇමතිවරයා හැටියට මට එතනින් එහාට තාවක් නැහැ. එය දිය නොහැකි නම් එය දිය නොහැකි එච්චරයි. එතනින් කතාව එතනින් අවසන් වුණා. ඊට පසුව මෙහි තියෙන්නේ ප්‍රසම්පාදන ක්‍රමවේදයේ සම්බන්ධව ඇමතිවරයාට කිසිම සම්බන්ධයක් නැහැ. ඒ සම්බන්ධ වෙතනින් ඒ චැප්ටර් එක අවසానයි. ඇපීල් එකක් කරන්න පුළුවන්. මම දන්නේ ඇපීල් එකක් කරාද කියලා. එහෙම කරා නම් කරන්නේ ඍජුවම NMR එකට. මේක ඒ වෙනකොට මිලියන 40යි ගෙවලා තිබ්බේ. ඊතුරු මිලියන තව 100ක් ගෙවන්න තිබ්බ ඒ මොහොතේ ඒක ගෙවන්න උත්සාහ කරනකොට ලිඛිත බෑරලා තියෙනවා මම ප්‍රධානින්ට වහාම ක්‍රියාත්මක වන පරිදි මේ ගෙවීම් නතර කරන්න. ඒවා ගෙවීම් කරයි කියන එක අමූලික බොරුවක්. මේ කවුරුත් පැමිණිලි කරේ නැහැ. පැමිණිලි කරන්න පටන් ගත්තේ මම පැමිණිලි කරාට පසුව. එපමණක් නෙමෙයි නීතිපති දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවට සියන්නේ ලීමන් සවිස්තරව පිටු දෙකක මේ සම්බන්ධව මුල ඉඳන් අකට යනකම් දාලා උපදෙස් පතලා ගරු නීතිපතිතුමාටත් ඇමතිවරයා හැටියට කරන්න පුළුවන් ඒ රාජකාරිය අකුරටම ඉෂ්ට කරලා තියෙනවා. මම දැක්ක මේ ඊයේ හවස අප්ලෝඩ් කරලා තිබ්බ එක හේලිය රටින් පණී කියලා. මම අපවුර ලංකාවේ හිටියේ.
මේ ගනුදෙනුවට අදාළ සියලුම මුදල් ගෙවන්න තිබිලා තියෙන්නේ ඉන්දියන් ක්‍රෙඩිට් ලයින් එක හරහානේ. නමුත් මේකට මුදල් ගෙවුවේ දේශීය මුදල් හරහා. දැන් ඇයි ඔබතුමාලා මේ තරම් හදිස්සුනේ මේ මුදල් මොහොත ගෙවන්න සප්ලයියට?
වැරදි ප්‍රශ්නයම. සරල භාෂාවෙන් කියනවා නම් තදියමේ ගෙවුවයි කියලා නෑන්නේ. එහෙම ගෙවීම මගේ සම්බන්ධයක් නැහැ නේ ගෙවීම වලට.
මුදල් ගෙවීම් කරේ කාගේ නියෝගය මතද?
ජාලාවක් තියෙනවානේ අමාත්‍යාංශයේ ක්‍රියාව වෙන. ලේකම් කෙනෙක් ඉන්නවා, මුල්ලේ කටයුතු කරන අය ඉන්නවා. ඒ සියලු දෙනා තමයි ඒකත් සම්බන්ධව කටයුතු කරන්නේ.
Now, as the Yukti operation set to curb narcotics operations around the island continued for a 5th day, the Financial Crimes Investigation Division was able to successfully track down property worth 130 million rupees, which belonged to 2 major drug traffickers who are currently hiding overseas. Several other raids were also carried out around the island today in line with the Yuktiya operation.
Special island-wide Operation Yuktiya to curb the distribution of narcotics continued for a successful 5th day today. Accordingly, a special operation was launched in Modara, Colombo North early this morning, where 10 persons with heroin in possession and 19 other suspects were arrested. Further, necessary measures were taken to direct 2 youths for rehabilitation. In the meantime, another operation was conducted in Hatewatta, Colombo 7 and Pidaliwatta along the Bauddha Lokamavta this morning. 26 suspects were arrested during the raid. Meanwhile, in connection with the Yukthiya program, another operation was conducted on the Jampeta Street and the Ratnam Road early this morning. During the raid, 21 persons, including 4 women, were apprehended by the police. A mother and son duo engaged in drug trafficking were also among the apprehended. The mother and son, apprehended as such, had 15 grams of heroin and nearly 300,000 rupees in cash at the time of the arrest. They also had several sharp weapons in possession. In the meantime, the Financial Crimes Investigation Division banned property worth over 20 million rupees, which belongs to 2 major drug traffickers named Suranja Sanjay Vidanapathirana and his brother Suren Maduranga Vidanapathirana, who are currently evading arrest overseas. The banned properties of the suspects include an overnight yacht worth 700,000 rupees, 3 vehicles, a 3-story residence in Hikkaduwa, 4-story and 3-story lodgings near the Mahamodara Bridge, as well as 2 lands. Meanwhile, 30 pounds of gold in possession of the twin sister of Suranja Sanjay Vidanapathirana's wife was also seized.
අත්අඩංගුවට අරගෙන තියෙනවා ලක්ෂ 1340ක වෙළඳපොළ වටිනාකමක් තිබෙන මේ දේපල. නමුත් අපි රජයේ තක්සේරුවට අවශ්‍ය අවස්ථාවක් විදා වුණාට පසු අපි රජයේ තක්සේරුවක් සඳහා යොමු කරනවා. නමුත් මේ අපි දැනට ඉදිරිපත් කරන්නේ මේවායේ අපිට පෙනෙන්නට තිබෙන වෙළඳපොළ වටිනාකම.
මේ රටේ මහජනතාව බලාපොරොත්තු වෙච්ච ආකාරයට මේ තෝරුමෝරුම් කියලා හඳුන්වන මහා පරිමාණ මද්‍රව්‍ය ව්‍යාපාර පසුබස සංගවිලා හිටපු සමාජයට වෙනත් මුහුණුවරක් පෙන්නගෙන හිටපු පුද්ගලයින් ලංකාවේ මේ නීති විරෝධී මත්කුණු ව්‍යාපාරය සහ පාතාලයෙන් හරියම්බ කරපු සෑම දේපලක්ම රාජසන්ත කිරීම සඳහා නීතිය දැඩිව ක්‍රියාත්මක කරනවා.
Accordingly, 1,865 suspects were arrested through the Yukti operation within the past 24 hours. Detention orders were secured against 145 suspects, while financial asset investigations have been initiated on 40 suspects. Further, according to the police, 134 individuals have been sent for rehabilitation. In the meantime, 154 suspects who were noted as suspects of the Police Narcotics Bureau have been arrested during the course of the day.
Now in more local news, power experts are of the view that several flaws in the new Sri Lanka electricity bill have to be addressed. Addressing a forum on reforms for a sustainable power sector, Professor in Electrical Engineering at the University of Monitor, Asanka Rodrigo, says the government must ensure independence of the National Electricity Advisory Council from political intervention, while also ensuring effectiveness in power generation planning.
A forum themed Reforms for a Sustainable Power Sector for the Next Generation was held in Colombo last evening.
In this act, there is an advisory council to the minister, where in this one, compared to the previous one, there will be direct involvement from the minister to the national system operator as well as the regulator. If you look at these different entities, the first proposed entity is the National Electricity Advisory Council. It consists of 5 people, all minister appointed. Their requirement is to come up with the policy advisory requirement for the minister and even the formulation of the national electricity policy. In this case, it is proposed to have a different group to come up with the electricity policy. So this creates a certain problem. There are certain institutes which are doing the same thing, like the Sri Lanka Sustainable Energy Authority as well as the Public Utilities Commission. For example, SCA is empowered to give the policy development as well as the policy analysis. So they are the one who are doing that part. And the policy advocacy is given to the Public Utilities Commission. So now what will happen to the powers given to those institutes? This act does not say anything about who is going to fund this particular council. Other than these 5 people, minister can even appoint the co-opted people so that wherever when the council meetings are going on, he can even send some other people to the council meeting. The independency may affect due to those type of wording. The council is there to advise the minister, but the act also says minister can give advice to the council. I feel that there is a certain conflicting situation. Because of that, we have to relook at these type of wordings in the act, because that can make certain confusion. So as per the act, what it says is you have to come up with the most economical power sector development plan. In this case, it says the long term, but unfortunately, it's for the 5 years. I don't know, in the power sector, we say the long term if it is more than 10 years, because the planning we do not consider, because they have the long lead time. And 5 years is not sufficient for a generation, the project implementation. If you are saying the long term, it should be actually a long term, not a short term. When we do this long-term generation expansion planning, all should be done by the NSO, and then they have to come up with a detailed plan. So then they have to propose that plan to the regulator, that is the PUCSL. And the PUCSL can check whether the plan is according to the government policy. Now in this one, it says after taking the consultation with the licensees and the other stakeholders, there is a one new thing which was not in the previous act, that is they have to forward this one to the minister. And the minister should approve this, and with the ministers even the suggestions. So after approving, it is the NSO's duty to implement that approved plan, not the minister. If the plan fails, who will be responsible? Nothing mentioned about that. So that I feel that there should be certain improvement in this part.
Now in your business news, the Colombo Stock Exchange closed in red today, dragged by consumer staples and communication services stocks. The Colombo Stock Exchange all-share price index dropped 0.17% to settle at 10,605.6 and was down 1.27% for the week. Cargills and Ceylon Tobacco were the top losers on the index, down 2.9% and 1.2% respectively. Trading volume on the ASPI rose to 128.5 million shares from 19.6 million shares in the previous session. The S&P Sri Lanka 20 meanwhile dropped 0.41% and ended at 3,040.2 points. The market's turnover rose to 4.72 billion rupees from 1.24 billion rupees in the previous session. Diversified financial sector was the top contributor to the market turnover, while the food and staples retailing sector was the second highest contributor. Foreign investors were net sellers of loading stocks worth 385.2 million rupees, while domestic investors were net buyers purchasing shares worth 4.56 billion rupees. The stock market will be closed on Monday for the Christmas holiday. Now let's take a look at how the rupee exchange rates were today. Welcome back. Now in your latest corporate developments, Trident Corporation recently announced its third consecutive win as the Microsoft Cloud Solutions Indirect Partner of the Year. Meanwhile, in a move to cultivate appreciation for nature among the young generation, Ceylon Tikri, together with the Wildlife and Nature Protection Society, presented its backyard photography competition. With that, let's take a look at the corporate news segment for the night.
Highlighting the pivotal role played in advancing cloud technology within the country and in Maldives, Trident Corporation proudly announced its third consecutive win as the Microsoft Cloud Solutions Indirect Partner of the Year. Accordingly, the award reflects the dedication of the corporation in providing solutions and services. Further, this recognition fortifies the leadership position of the company in the technological sector, setting the stage for continued success. Meanwhile, Ceylon Tikri, which continuously partnered with the Wildlife and Nature Protection Society, recently presented its backyard photography competition in a move to expand deep appreciation for nature among the young generation. Enhancing the deep connection that children have towards Mother Nature, the competition showcased the number of impressive photographs captured by the children who participated from across the country. Further, the winners of the backyard photography competition were rewarded with the Tikri WNPS branded Explorer packs consisting of an eco-friendly bag, a cap and a magnifying glass. In other corporate developments, Union Bank announced the appointment of Nirvana Chowdhury as the chairman of Union Bank effective from the 21st of December this year. The bank also welcomed Malay Mukherjee and Sanjay Pokhrel to its board of directors. Further, the bank expects to strengthen and diversify its strategic capabilities and leadership via the recent appointments made.
Now, with less than 3 days remaining to celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ, let's share peace with everyone amongst us, as peace is the hope for this Christmas. With that in mind, let's take a look into our seasonal segment, A Message of Hope.
Dear friends, the entire world is preparing to celebrate the birth of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. It is good. Really, Christmas is a time of celebration because the Bible tells us that God has given His Son as a gift to all of us for our salvation, for our redemption. And it is truly an event to celebrate. So when we look at the world, dear friends, we see that the world is suffering because of wars in Middle East, Europe. People are dying and no peace. And when we look at our own country, we have been suffering from economic crisis, and now we as a nation recovering from that economic crisis. So at this time our people says, how can we celebrate the Christmas? We have no money. We have no things to celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ. Yes, it is true. When you celebrate Christmas, look at those people who are in need. Jesus came to share His life with people. He gave His life on the cross of Calvary at the end of His life for the people. And Christmas is a period, a time that we share ourselves with the people in need. Look at the world, look at the society, and there is hope always involved in Christmas. That hope is peace, because at the beginning, when Jesus was born, angels sing peace, and even book of Isaiah says, He is the Prince of Peace. Share peace with each other and give peace to the people who do not have peace, and share everything what you have with people who are in need, and make this Christmas a time that you make other people to smile and make their heart happy. I pray that God will bless you to make this Christmas a time that others could see Jesus in your life. May God bless you and wish you a very and Merry Christmas.
And with that, we wrap up tonight's edition of AdaDerana First at 9. Stay in touch with us on www.adaderana.lk for the latest developments around the clock. Thank you. Have a great night.
For news and information you can trust 24 hours a day, visit AdaDerana.lk.